All right. Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for holding this, Dr. Blaze. The Medicaid program was really originally set up, for seniors, children, pregnant women, disabled, right?
Correct.
And the reason it was set up the way it was that the federal government would pay a portion and the states would pay a portion, and the states would pay a portion out of their own taxes, right?
Correct.
Right. And I guess, it goes from 50 to, depending on the income level the states pay from 50% to as little as 15% about?
Yeah, so for the traditional population, wealthiest states, they spend $1, federal government contributes $1. Poorest states, they spend $1, federal government contributes $3.
But for all states, wealthy or not, when Obamacare expanded to able-bodied adults, it was 90-10.
It was actually 100% for the first 3 years, and it's phased down, and it's 90 to 10 now.
So if you look at a state budget now, have states have they gained the 90-10 match to pay for things that have nothing to do with healthcare?
Yeah, I mean, states get 7 times more funding when they spend $1 on the expansion population than the traditional population, and particularly given that they can finance their state share with these legalized money laundering tactics, states use Medicaid to fund other state projects, and the ACA expansion, the 9-to-1, is a multiplier on the money laundering apparatus that states
So have some states said, okay, gone to a provider and said, hey, you'll pay us some money so we can get extra money from Medicaid?
Yeah, in many cases, Senator, it's the provider that goes to the state and says, we've designed this scheme that's just going to plus us up with federal tax dollars.
So this concept that the states would put a portion to make sure the dollars are spent wisely, to make sure the people are covered, doesn't really work anymore.
That's deteriorated, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, when you think about it, if the federal government's goal was to make sure we take care of, especially the pregnant women, kids, disabled, the states have lost focus because there's so much money, and the providers have looked at, there's so much money out here for the able-bodied adults.
The federal government is encouraging states to discriminate against the most vulnerable.
Dr. Oz recently paused payments to California, noting that the in-home supportive service program has grown over 24% over 2 years, way more than the national average. What's noteworthy is that the funding of this program is 55% federal, about 35% is intergovernmental transfers, leaves the state only paying about 11%. Okay, so now I thought they were supposed to have a 50-50 match. So explain how that works.
So intergovernmental transfers, most problematic ones are where you get a local health facility that transfers money to the state. The state then uses that as its payment back to the facility and then leverages the federal dollars. So it's a way for states to use the Medicaid financing system to benefit the government-owned providers at the expense of the taxpayer. And you have some examples where, like in California, they do this for their ambulances too, where they'll pay the government ambulance providers more than 3 times what they pay the private ambulance providers through the Medicaid program.
So that ambulance company has no risk. I mean, there's just extra money.
Yes.
They're just using the federal tax dollars to pay, because we should expect our states to have skin in the game. And what you're saying is what happens is they don't actually have skin in the game.
They don't have skin in the game, and they're lobbied. Like there is in the state capitals. I mean, you know this as a former governor, and former governors know this. You're lobbied by the special interests to design programs this way and take advantage of the federal taxpayer.
Mr. Ingram, the HHS Office of the Inspector General recently decertified New York's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit due to a year-long failure to do its job. Despite receiving over $60 million annually and having a staff of 270 people, New York was the worst performing unit compared to other states. This office was only able to secure 85 fraud convictions from 20 to 25, when the next lowest scoring state had 237 convictions, almost 3 times more. New York had 49 criminal fraud indictments between 20 and 25, which is less than 10 a year. The next state had 268, 5 times more. It's not that fraud isn't there. Indiana and Arizona were able to secure 5 and 7 times as many indictments in 25 alone compared to New York's 7. How important is the Medicaid Fraud Control Unit program, and what does it mean when a state is run so poorly like New York that only 1 conviction for patient abuse in 2025, despite having 2,000 patient abuse referrals a year?
Well, New York's fraud control unit under AG Letitia James has been horrendous, as you noted. It's one of the worst in the countries. You mentioned Indiana and Arizona. Those are states with programs, 1/5 the size of New York. They have about 1/10 the staff, 1/10 the budget, and they're delivering, 5 to 7 times more criminal indictments. They're delivering more convictions, more civil recoveries. New York had not a single hospice fraud investigation, despite that being sort of a hotbed of fraud in New York. It's not a new problem. It's been ongoing for years. It definitely worsened under President Biden. States are getting more funding from taxpayers than ever for these units and delivering worse results. Investigations are down, indictments are down, convictions are down, recoveries are down. Indictments in New York have dropped 93% since 2019. Over a dozen of these units recover less fraudulent funds than it costs federal taxpayers to operate them. So, this is a longstanding problem. Nobody really seemed to care until President Trump came in. He's doing something about it. New York was decertified, Hawaii was decertified, but a future administration could go back to the way things were under President Biden. So I would encourage everyone to codify stronger oversight requirements for these and really make them effective.
Thank you.